Hello and welcome to this special segment in CNBC TV 18. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry has led the Modi government's reform agenda, and the issues that this ministry deals with includes securing India's interests on exports, on its services sector in overseas markets, and of course carrying out reforms related to the FDI policy. And to talk to us about these issues, we are now being joined by Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. Let's start this discussion by talking about Make in India, one of the most successful campaigns that this government has launched. 2.5 years back, 25 sectors were identified for Make in India. What is the way forward for this very high-profile campaign, and will there be any scope or proposal to review this very important campaign that this government launched in September 2014?
Well, you're right in saying it's a big initiative of the government. The Prime Minister launched it in September 2014, and subsequent to it, we started opening up FDI or investments even by private Indian citizens in some sectors which were hitherto never available for investments by non-government individuals, be it Indian or a person from abroad. So opening up has happened. As a consequence, we had to make India a better investable place, and ease of doing business was taken up as a result. We engaged with the state governments. Now you find a healthy competition among states who are now seeing opportunities for better investment and better sectoral development in manufacturing if only their legislations and their regulations are simplified.
When you talk about ease of doing business, states competing to get their fair share of investments. Now, if you look at the past 3 years data, we have seen actually FDI doubling from end of FY14 till now. But are you satisfied with the spread of this foreign direct investments that have come in? Because if you look at the data and segregate it, it seems that the services sector has got a fair share, and some economists point out that perhaps some core manufacturing sector and MSMEs, FDI has perhaps bypassed those. So how would you comment on that, and do you think there is a course correction needed as far as Make in India is concerned?
See, when investments come in, they are commercial decisions. Opportunities and commercial potential is assessed by the investor himself. Well, to start with, if it is going towards some of these sectors, gradually with other sectors also revealing their potential, I see that it is possible for investment to go in, also into those sectors. But equally, I must say, the sectors where India has great capacity in terms of human power, in a sense soft power, in terms of the skilled manpower which is available here, the cost of the manpower as contrasted with the Chinese experience where labor is becoming a bit more expensive. So investors do prefer a destination like India where trained manpower is available, and if in cost, if it is better, why not here? That's the second. And third, a lot of compatibility in investment is also taking place. Where a manufacturer of a particular item comes, the industries which have a linkage to that sector also draws attention, and therefore investments do come in. With the Prime Minister giving emphasis on electric vehicles, today I find a lot of interest in investing in manufacturing of electric buses.
Some Japanese companies I believe.
Toyota and many others have been talking. When I was recently in Japan, I was happy to receive and meet with the company bosses of Suzuki and also Toyota, all of whom announced at that time when I was there that they were looking at working together in manufacturing electrical vehicles.
One of the promises that this government made before coming to power was on the jobs front. Now, while we have seen a tremendous increase in FDI inflows, perhaps the traction on jobs, new jobs creation is not that much. Data shows, for example, that between April and December last year, just about 2 lakh new jobs were created in each sectors. Now, Niti Aayog, on the other hand, believes that it is the responsibility of the private sector to create jobs. Government can only facilitate job creation. Being a minister in charge of industry, how would you respond to this issue of job creation?
Job creation is a very, very important issue. And I would first of all put on record here that Prime Minister has repeatedly in every cabinet meeting had demanded that for every note which comes to the cabinet for approval, he would say, do you have at least a paragraph there to tell me what implication it's going to have on job creation? Besides that, I in fact very recently told the Secretary Industries, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, that we shall hold a day-long, minimum a day-long, if not two, meet with the top industries to assess as to how ready they are to take on board Industrial Revolution 4.0. How much ever we might think it's a bit distant, it's not happening tomorrow, it is rapidly catching up. India's Digitizing India program, it's also, if all of us understand Industrial Revolution 4.0, going to be a big part of it. Digitizing is the big component. And if digitizing is happening, actively promoted by Government of India, you're talking of Internet of Things, you're talking of robotics, you're talking of knowledge and smart ways, knowledge-based and smart ways of handling industry. I'm asking industry as to how prepared are they for this. So industries are going to be called, ministry is going to sit and talk with them about their readiness or lack of it, or their part readiness and its implication on employment, and therefore looking at India's skilling program, looking at India's labor, and in all this the SMEs who may or may not move at the same speed as bigger industry, to see how best they are going to be able to accommodate skilled manpower. So this grand picture will have to be arrived at only after all these consultations. So in fact, in the coming month, we shall be holding this major meet with industry to talk to them and find out what implication it's having.
Do you then foresee India having its own Industry 4.0 policy, just like, for example, Germany has? Is that something which you have factored in?
That's exactly what it is. So we are working, all these exercises are to come out with some such a thing, so that we know the direction in which we have to move in order to keep our labor, skilled labor, finding their own course. Without direction, it's not going to be planned, and without planning the national GDP. And I'll take you back to one more argument on which again I've instructed the ministry to review the national investment and manufacturing policy, the national manufacturing policy of 2011. That's very important, because the national manufacturing policy of 2011 had this objective that the contribution of manufacturing sector should be at least 25% of our GDP by 2025.
Right.
Now, if that's got to be achieved, is that policy of 2011, given the fact that you're going to move on to an Industrial Revolution 4.0, is that adaptable? Is that going to serve our objective, or does it need a complete review? Do we need a policy of a different nature? That I have asked them to quickly look at that and review that in the light of what is it, 24% is going to be arrived how? Now, your Make in India has made its own ripples and brought in a lot of change in terms of the investment environment, opening up of newer sectors and so on. But that policy, with the number of manufacturing zones already identified in the country, national manufacturing NIMs as we call them, they are spread here and there, a lot of them. Now, I have an issue integrating them to the corridors that we are building.
Right.
All you know the Pentagon-like industrial corridors.
Right.
I have to integrate them. I have also to comply with this grand objective of making sure 25% goes into the GDP by 2025 from the manufacturing sector. But is that policy relevant for me? Is that policy going to give me that sinew to be able to move forward?
Right.
So that review is also happening. in order, yes.
Right. And let's talk about foreign direct investment policy now. There have been several reforms that have been carried out. In fact, most of the sectors are open now as far as the FDI cap is concerned. So, ma'am, give us a sense of what will be the thrust and focus of future changes, because FDI cap-wise, most sectors are open. If that is so, then what will be the focus of the next kind of reforms that we expect in FDI-related policies?
I think in FDI, most of the sectors have already been put into automatic route. Very few are left behind. And for those who are left behind, you also have each of those departments having a regulatory authority. So, in a way, although we are looking at, because it was announced in the budget, we are looking at reviewing and seeing if there are any more sectors which we have to open up. The fact is that for those few sectors which are left behind, there are regulators within their ministries who probably can set the cap or any kind of conditions which they want to set. So that is where the FIPB also is being looked for winding up.